Emfa ema wo ho usi uti na wo ye na wodi ekodi emo no we matome meko me pon firi ha ya me ko Yesu tudu na maye munyi prenwa ise kama na afi metu oman maka no na me bi agum wo ho no mo ene ade a esa jollof bi so na mani so no me light soup kakra unyo do aya ase na onya samo kakra na onya amane awo bi na ode eye oman maka no tu na ade agum wawi abrabo na wo sen no be se abekwa akra na ya dika fa sauce no so ne utu ni ti na ade nsesi so sa na waso ne sauce no ede abo abra wo stimu nam no wo de abo ase na wagyae eye gesia na anase nam na nkase wo mu no na wagyae de agum na ade asi wo no kakra ebra bekwa ne ye potopro no wanjambote na ohwie na ade agum emma taste fofora ahonka wo mpa oman maka o se dedodo oman maka de nyame ehya so oman maka wo se tugum na ne ma nkon kai hotel ni restaurant bar na afemu amoye nuane eton titru indomie joint no momomode awamofo no mfa bi nhyehyehye Jesu ni nchen ya wote a wate kakra na wode atum ewo no mo frɛ 0242726379 ana 0551205063 na mpanyimfo ntwetwe nkoma na wonso wonsaka na wanya bi ato ewo Fanko Enterprise ewurade nyankopo adwumakuo bi nie wonma madansie wonu wie ka kyerepre kopɛ onse dan no wie waboso waye osili no wi bia wie de ehia pa ebema waka akire kura no eye apona wodi betintimu enu timi medan nya face foforo kura atapwa me kura na onya pompapa na wodi sia no a obi apia ekasa de ma wo ene atwam sabre na twam ye de apomfu bia na totopona no ko eye Fanko Enterprise na oma otekisi anase Chinese security door papa wakofa ba na ewosoro quality na semwo na nso bo de da fom boko no oma obi na faye plumbers no mesrem a contractors ye landlords mo amusi dan awodo no fo ani kiremu epon no medical aka pipes awodo eye plumbing materials no wadaroma yemfa mesiesie wo toilet no so no wadwa ye wono mo na enye fene bibia enye ahomkamli na obi ebesra na sabi okodwo so a animguase ni bi ankan ewo ehono mo one madaroma ene eti be friend 0551201767 and 0555047929 na mpanyufo ento kese ewo hono yenkyerɛ mo kaseɛ no emu Around someone crebeto jade bi aka Owia Kaseɛ ekyiremu a ade ebekye ya hemarache na abobese no nanye ene beto dwaso do ani kyem ewo Fanko baabi o mato pempim no English brodi kan say beria arewo sama ba beto dwa ama baabi e fen say John Tay enkrebuo no nipa be se aduonu enan na nkwanhie esi yeye na won mo ho ebomu ekowi akyire no obaade amfafie amemu baako maako be se du baako de won mato ananom ewo ense do ewo no na dumje adwumekuo no tutu anammo mo ye hare se kokoredi a wonam koku ase ekopi o se de be yombekọ omanfo mo akodi adwami ombekọ wonom emoa ewo honom na eno ne nam so amadi 01 Emmanuel Boni edensam atodwa na wakyerem kakra mdo mani kutwawisi ommienu santami ekohu nkwanhia yi se de nesiti.
Around 4 a.m. we had a distress call that there's multiple other vehicular accidents at this area. So we quickly have to ask our Amasaman team to come and the regional reporters, the national reporters rescue team to also come around. When we came, we saw cars, about 6 cars and 1 tricycle involved in an accident, and there were people trapped in the cars. So quickly we have to deal with the situation to manage the car and extricate those who got injured in the car, and those who passed on, we have to retrieve them and give them to police to be sent to the hospital for further confirmation. So, and those who got injured, the national ambulance sent them to the Achimota hospital for further treatment. In all, it is about 24 people that were involved. Police just confirmed to us that when they sent them to the hospital, 11 people have been confirmed that dead, and those who have been sent to the hospital are now 30. trucks, 2 sprinter buses.
Sama do judgment ko ne fe won DO1 Emmanuel Boni ene eteni kenara sa arewusem ya esi ya ehyen tipa track ye mienu ena afeye sprinters ye won mo ba sisi ye eno so ababe todwa se eno so ebi eka ho ena afeye salon kase na eno so eka ho ena ekowi akire kura no abobo ya won so edimu akotena won so eka ho a enam so ma ekofa sa wowe ne ba ye binum so preprade mu odin a won mo da ya sabia won mo eje ayarehwe na menewo ekase nam so ama yewra Abraham Amaleba director general at the Ghana Road Safety Authority wono so e de ensam e de aba betudwa se ebra so se wose ebo modern ye de anukrutu awise mienu santam yi ebo modern de achi ne hwese de be ya ye kwantempo so nhyehyeye emra amamre ne wama ne sefate wose ahyenkafo ebo modern na wo mo hwe no mu di so se de be ya ebema ye kwantempo so aye kama e de ama ahyenkafo ene apasenjafo etremu no wono so eho ebetom no ma hwe yie pa amomodi sanjehye ne so.
On the highways, I have called on the police MTTD to return the police back onto the road, particularly areas we call hot spots. Hot spots are areas where accidents usually occur. The frequency of accidents is very high. If you are not bringing them back to the entire road, bring them back to the hot spots, because people do what you expect. So when they see a policeman there, they will lower their speed. The police has not listened to me. And so enforcement is key. Just as our education is also paramount. But we cannot continue educating till that kingdom come. Now, after a point, you need to enforce. And so it's a carrot and stick approach. Let the police MTTD, and this one I'm calling, I've written letters to them. My understanding, not that they wrote to me, but my understanding was that when I first took over the office was that Dampare indicated that they were extorting and harassing drivers, and so they are withdrawing them, and because of that, the image of the police is being dragged into the mud. I said, look, it is better to have the police on the road while they harass drivers than to just take them off. When you take them off, drivers now feel that it's like a Formula One track. They will speed, and some of these things will happen. So there's going to be roll out next year the traffic tech system. But before then, people are dying. Let's bring back the police to the hotspots to deal with these matters.
Road safety and penny for
on the highways, I have called on the police MTTD to return the police back onto the road, particularly
etimi eko enkanye na ni nyina mu yeda so a yegina enkwanhia remfo yi mu se muhu ya na dumje adwumakuo no ekura afidie bi mahin ana yese wo mu edi etwetwetwa arewosem ne se raba akokora de ne nan chese enya asem keto a eno no ho akodi adwam wo ne yere sayensa ebeka owura Dennis Daniel Kwashi wono ena akopie mu a wofanko South Oye mrashe aye assembly mine ewo ga South municipal assembly wono mo ne ne edi eho nkomo sentini se enkra eba ne echirimo a ekwan ya sa kwantempo no so no omudi mirikatente nenam so ema ahyen be senso aseseye ekodi kasubom kekase ne ebuburumu a ekowi achire ne wose yedi mfidie no ne ade ene de base ne be betimi abetwitwa na ayi nipa ne bie ede omo frihye ne mu na yese areho yie pa ebre esuse ya ne wose mpanyifo mo na ase ye hare na tutumrika no de mmara ne ho hyehye da ho no etofom se de be ya nyina ye behu ne yedi so na yayo ne mpanyi se de wo kwa aten de wo ba aten ya na mpempi no de ogya na ya no wo atentrudo no na otumi ese ebomuo no obibi mu ema ye nyina ehu eno nti ene ye nam sa kwa no so ayehwe se ye nsa ebeka assemblyman yi na afi wono ato na numtuo no nikutu awise mienu santem no de odi hu ye no wato na ode ache ye nsa nyanka na de a ye beto akase do so na yeti ama menya ne tese yensa aka owura Dennis Daniel Kwashi assemblyman honorable memo ha mo akwa baba Owia Kaseɛ so wie. Hello Assemblyman, wadama, what men come in Mohamu Akwabo, wadama. Hello.
Me too, ka.
Fede. Okay. Wadarumo, some kwenshie ye see ye. Kakra ben na wonim fa ho. Mr. Kwashi, what men ka? Hello. Hello. Hello, Kwashi.
Yes, sir.
Me pa to afi what men ka?
Me too, ka.
Wada ma me da se. Na me bisa se, kwenshia asia medipa be se du baako. Afri mu abebie preprada ya asabia no. Wadaruma assembly member a wo mpatemu no. Kakra bai e na onim fa ho.
Yes, our see an way by around 4 o'clock. Well, of Uncle Barry, so free over John Air before we go of Uncle Food Bridge. Where the electricity station on our assembly.
Wadama ba ne sai na ekoba se ahyen be senso asensia.
Yes, the ban we say na abugoya be every say at later truck be bo abugoya be go down ho. Into obo abugoya no na abugoya rider no wie. Into we na oda kwan no na abugoya no so abakwan no. Wo inner way no. It's police ni be the truth so. It's police no park here. No decided so be direct traffic. It's police no stop the first car na tipper truck and your car. The police no stop. It was stop na police na it was stop na car na sprinter passenger car. You know so but now need say tipper truck ya stop into the board tipper truck. Then another third tipper truck so the board passenger over na another county omububu sa na yes is the second bus na which is the passenger bus the airport tipper truck first third one the one which are not there almost everybody was off about 23 about 50 people on board only 2 survivors was a passenger bus in the car about 6 the board
Okay. So we kwan ya kwanhia yi fa so esi ya. Ya de a na nka ebetimi abọ ho ban ya nka ensi kura na.
O se o wa kasa se car to fi jonte no mo descend no mo back down. They come with a tall speed. They come because every so mo descend that here over they come with a tall speed. It's around that time when he say highway light also not. It is around 4 o'clock as the pharmacy. If the police will go, come over 2 or 3 and that man not stop tipper truck. Other people will also stop those coming behind. But no quantity was stop with no cars there, but don't want say I stop traffic. Now the speed they are moving by. It is when the ball, with the Japanese cars. No, ever been accident.
Question me to won kan na yesen kwanhia ye kwanhia se nyamrika tenta enkade anka betimi aso ano anka entimi nsinya sa.
Yes, and speed aka police will be master. But the speed also will be tama. We will say we ask of no na aye to read. How they are come. Sana dem kosi.
Ade bi esi ho pen anase we ye really kan ya sabia.
Side area almost every month accident see wo.
Oh wow.
Almost every month accident see wo. That the after the almost opposite the sound station electricity family. They be an accident see wo almost every month.
Na assembly man ya wo mpatem ho na acha bosumi bia nkwanhia si wo ho no e de anamo no watu e de fa wo se de be ya wo betimi ahwe na kwaso a.
O say assembly ya kan wo say sa program the highway project. It is ya catch highway for about incidents that were first of all that street lights now they repair all the street lights. Secondly, say you understand stand board be na university or not catch cars na move it off when they come they should slow down when you put these signs sign of this slow down then the street lights also are working and I think yes they are so don't reduce speed down ebetimi aso me ko me kakra.
Oh, okay. Now, yes, and the man who see no free say, a bet me aye in Swano and I say, bet me a see no quite a man question, Bebampa, and me a cassis. I won't.
Ekimi na kese sa.
Okay, made I say any obre no adaje.
Me da since no. Thank
Abusanfo
you.
Odonyamfo Dennis Daniel Kwashi wono assemblyman ewo Ofanko South of Gasouth Municipal Assembly wono na ye ne ekobo nkomo yeda so a ejina san kwanhie de arehosem de abe womo a wono afirimu nyina twedi ampon ehu womo mobo na eja ompe ba bi mfom ntina womo so womo preda ya sabia nso womo womo nsa wono aprekru emfa emma womo Ora Solomon Owusu wono nkitawode bofotene panimpa ede ma Amanyuko United Party meche UP na ono so de na no ede atomu wo sebra so se emrakunyina eda ya kwantempon ede efa ahyenkafo wono ye bebo moden ne atimi ahyemu kena na yama anidiso na atimi aye adwuma na ohyenkani bia ebedi so ahwe na ye ne se betimi aboa pa ebiem de osusu ne se enubone fa wodo no so de niema na dabani no what is any man? Why you time? Why you trying? Uba ne chamso mo. Bibia abekabia nani abro driver power tisiti eni mesekusi ayabonija. Nani seko es nani ase ne tramadol. Na wechiremu a tramadol yi wafa amanabro so. Enti watwana ze. Nani. Ubenwa no makogu. Afeye wono akeka kane ma bi di abobobo mu a emwa ema hyenkafo no wo motehye nanimu a wonu ntimi ntwini Owia Solomon.
We need to take a second look at some of the drivers that are engaged in driving some of these trucks. I say this because of my own personal experience in that field. I believe that we need to take a holistic view of tipper truck drivers, especially the young ones. You know, this tramadol and stuff that we talk of, where they use it a lot. And I was very surprised at the point my drivers were telling me that when they use it, that's when they are able to work overnight. I was scandalized. I tell you, they use all sort of drugs. They say that is what keeps them moving. I said, how can you use a drug to keep you moving? You are driving on the road and you see a tipper truck coming. You must not take it for granted. You must be very, very attentive. Because anything can happen. Anything can happen. And I say this from experience. But that is not to say that is what this driver had engaged himself in. But investigation must be narrowed to the truck driver himself.
Owusu United Party nkitawudie bofoten panyimpa na mwatese ode atu edwa wo no ebeya anka stations awodo na ya na ba wo no munyi mfamfiri ho no na anka yenya posifuo bi nso na anka wo wo stations awodo na anka na driver ni bi abetena ehye ni ma wo betwie no na anka ya ne gapo ani bi na ya hwese wanu bi wo ma ya montan hwehwe wo mu seat na senso ene nchenchen ya na wo frafra de gubo to mu e de hye ho pa matemoto driver fo ti yanku anim na yento aso ewo eda so a ejina kwambone awodo a etimi de wo hawo e de ebre nipadua no adia na we de ni echim e wo narcotic control kamihi na kokko wo maso e ne ekopanyi kwanchefa woda no eye Owura Major General Maswell Obuba na ore nsem bebre e de atodwa me ne wo kasen nhwemu mapabi e de free suapon a no won nkambumpuni mantama ye friend say University of Ghana School Public Health na wo mo abomode aye nhwemu mapabi e de afa eniema wodo a ekoso anchemu besedu nipa wo mo edi nuboni ehu dwa wo mo nompa kwa wonu video mu ni ade no se na hwehwemu a wonu ma ye ni echiremu a nipa be se mfimfie hia no be se dunum ekono ene omo hyase esua kwan ombe fa so ombe num nurunuo no ene anu gina hanji chemu be se aduonum enan ansa na womo nso a wonu efrimfie hia dunkron na eko ena womo nso ehyase enum wono wono nso ewo ho no aha hanji chemu no edu ene ye nipa womo frimfie hia edunum na ase de enya nurusa ene womo sua ena womo nso omonya frimfie dunkono no fe no wo nso hyase enompa no wanchemu no aduonum enan 54% na Major General Obuba ede atodwa se wonum guso a wo moye ne ombetumi bi asa ne be ye ombeko ede ati akwambone a emebunu efa so sanse eyade he nipadua no na mma nipadua no botepua ne ntimi enko nanim ewo abrabomu wo tumire ne wo kiresie se eneye we na ayemfi champion ne aduonu nsia emebunu nkabomukuo na asa hyehyeye tentene a wonum ya efa asoye a mo ehwe emaburu ne empuntu ensem sui eno no de sansem no ede ekoto dwa wo kire ma me ne wo kasa nipa be se apem wo ha edioson enkono eye nipa mfinhyia mpemienu ene aduonunum no wo no bia wo mo tototo me aye awodo a aye treatment centers awodo manko be se aduasa a wo no hwe se de be wo betimi aboa wo mo ama maje wo mo ede afri nuboni enum wo no echiremu na wo nipa no mu nchichemu no wo ha be se aduowotwe enum aduowotwe nwotwe achiripo enum eye nipa a wo no eje saa entitie ni ayarehwe ni ayaresa yi a wo no mfinhyia aduonu edikosi aduanan enan abra Major General Maso Obuba echensem no mu no sei ene wodi
research conducted by University of Ghana School of Public Health in 2025 estimated that there are 82,500 people who use drugs in Ghana. The drugs they use include heroin, cocaine, tramadol, methamphetamine. And this drug that I've mentioned excludes cannabis, which is the most abused drug in this country. So you can imagine. Out of this, 16,300 are coming from this region, Ashanti region, Honorable. HIV prevalence among persons who use drugs in the Ashanti region was 6.6%, several times above the national average of 1.4%. The study also found out that 10% of people who use drugs begin before the age of 15 and 54% before the age of 19. Those figures should make us pause and think about how deeply opioid use and misuse has penetrated some of our communities. In 2025 alone,
Major General Maso Obuba ena yeteni kai narcotic control kamihi na kokwo panyi kwanchefo a otua ano ewe yemfiri saa enema nipadua nchemu enemu ewa amanyosem eyie pa na yebowrem dia the new patriotic party kokoro do woso kokroko it is possible ye ra won mo ahye ye na me de wokasa ye eba mantam awodo na abato a won mo koto no me ye ni ntini adwetwuro munum ntini Bobi no modi amanyuko na nim atuatua toto niema e wo mpese awodo no so nyame adoma ene memende di animi kuruwa ni aniwa ebese ngege e wo hono eno nti amanto abona manumu so pa se wuku adapo asoche a ebobo asakete na dia babebo pa na ekoni adia na owura ba kwa na ni abra bo pre na wo chireka so se nchira ka se na ebe asantema etu anye na eti esi anye ebeti ase ato abama no ba edwum treni mapa e dia ma mpp amanyuko no eye reference ode no kwaku apia ne nto abon nano ene ode akopiem ewo tano not na ebra wo reg Gideon bo akosugu na wo kasa na wo kiremu na ne nsema a wo kanyina nso obesere Womo pese womo de Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia enka ne Ghana mampanyini abedi akira ene won e Frank Atuni edem MPP amanyuko ni din for wono nto abono wo bese Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia enka ne baabia wonsi sudua enka de pimpo se wodo de ohia koten anasa benta na se busunya panyini ansa na wotumi ene na ye adwuma wo se de hia pa ene se mo be yi akandifu anyansa ene nimde ne ahofama ne wodo ne tema ewo mu betumi aye adwuma denye na de amanyuko na kan bom kutu se ba akofo ye mu na ye kutu na wo motimi abeji akonwa kese e wo mamu mfinsia mpemienu ene aduonu enwotwe sade wo beto ama no de enye nasemo na emom ohia competent leaders ye na eno no owura Gideon bo akodi tudwa wo chem se wono de nani na chita de e wode no kwaku apie ya akoka na wode ma no sanso ne ewo nipa bia wono ben Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia wono nso ede wo chita de ama enipa foforo enti eno nche se ono Gideon bo ako ede na chita ede ama owura wode no kwaku apia na wo mo Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia na so ye nyina no ne Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia no so no bia wono so Gideon bo ako dabi obia wo ba bia ogina eno nti mum ye mfa pepa yo ne bia ko ye ne nkabom ne nkoto enyi wo mo sefata na timia bo amanyuko no.
Bawumia is a flag bearer of the party, and as a father, he's overseeing whatever is happening. His interest is that at the end of the day, every region is able to elect executives and leadership who will be able to work their hearts out for the party. I don't think his interest is to say that I support A or I support B. That is not it. I support Odinwo Kwakuapia. There are other people close to Bawumia who support other candidates. And I don't think Dr. Bawumia will say that nobody has a right to support any other candidate. So I freely decided to support Odinwo Kwakuapia There are other candidates who support other candidates. I've seen other aspirants here, youth organizer positions, secretaries, and all of that. I support some youth organizer aspirants who are aligned with Chamadron Kwakriapia. There are others who are aligned with other candidates. I have Kwakwa and Ralph going for organizer positions. I have my preference, you understand. One is here, the other is so. Nobody should draw in Dr. Baumia into this contest. Baumia wants credible leadership. He wants somebody who will be able to deliver and do the work. I believe Odon Kwakiapia is the one who can do that. Others believe in other candidates, but I don't think it's proper for anybody to draw in the flag bearer into this contest at all. It's not done.
See ya no de no kwaku apia na nkasa wo gira mu na wa prejum treni dibre e wa sante mantema no de man pipia man duko ze we kan wa beza ne brenza so woni be na de ntwibo sia ko kire ka so se nkira ka medu be bi na be na de ntwibo sia ko what stadium fompo se brim enu obrim on wasan na se kurani atoto abrodi akwache ne nsemu na se be ma ato ani bre pa e ho anya asem kweto wo de no kwaku apia se se mu po wo se ne gon ayase de dodo sha bre wan moto bo no be gura me akwaye ababa ne bra go se gon ene yende grace aya ade atena se wa hu be ma ye kogoro ne bra gon wo se samumpo eduru no so wona dwomtani dibre no obenya no se enkoduru memenda mamma ne nyem nwanwa samu bete se wo mo kotena ase bopo ama Yesu Kristo wonu bo ne mremu dua mere kra ya ho e wo gogo tabe po no so ebra na ria bodendenden no mo de eye na do abo ne nsam hye ne nkasa eche no wa hwa me su grace wo de bo no nyono mam na me hwa ho
mimi de be wo nyame na ba besenje enye ni ba de besenje
so go ya wie asaya ko chefo
na ni o kan na no kuma so ni me expect pra wa wie nu me benda e ka se Yesu kran fo me kan wo je bo no asa mi gra e mo go aso kwai go 30 years se bi se ka sawada je ya sun kwai fede me ya mo ka fa mimi da ta ko be na me ti a
I don't
se o di AI o ha na ma se di dema na ko ka se ni na AI e mo go ni ya je wo wa
abusha yewra odeno kwaku apia no ai my emotion emotional chese de ade ni si ye no mu kwa mfa sukum Yesu no na ya pa enso wo de mu yemfi Yesu wu no na ye nko na enso sesa mote sa wo mo kobọ pọ ma wo no ekokum Yesu no wo no odeno kwaku apia wo na wo yetibire kese a na wo tua no pa ma wo kum Yesu gogo tabe pọ so a mamma ne enyem nwanwa ye toaso Bank of Ghana eguso a wonmo eye nhyehye ni nyina aye kwan ye befa so na omemu ni nyina hoto beba sister ni on landing kwaya nkrofo fa so ebu nkrofo fa so sankraka ewia womo ni ade na owura oyetibire kesa wo desika krabia kese ya no Dr. Johnson Esiama waka na wo de ache tibire kesa wo dom desika krabia ahodo ano se wono mfi womo ni no omo hwe nde sika semmuo de obeyi ni sika de obi account o de sika ebe fammuo no yenhwe ne hu se nipa no osefata eye kwan papa no onam so control do sade ebe ya enkofa kwan boni bia so na emfa ekwan ye fa so de di sika di dwuma no enkofa ho kire bia ema ebra Dr. Johnson Esiama kasa no wo kire ni nsem
of non-compliance. The Bank of Ghana continues to observe increased incidences of DAD checks and instances of non-compliance. Banks are therefore encouraged to properly utilize approved overdraft facilities or available funds in linked accounts where permitted under existing arrangements before returning checks. Banks are further urged to strengthen their monitoring mechanism and intensify customer engagement and education to improve compliance, reduce repeat offenses, and promote confidence in the use of checks as a payment instrument.
Abusia Dr. Johnson Esiama amrado do my Ghana skakrabia no amananso a edward tudwa wo kire mo se enne no de wo mobile phone kra na abefa na aso koye kwa wo fa ya wo bie egbo nwa na obi dia beto wo pelu wo pebesia wɔse ɛnɛ wɔn ne nam abɛfo kwan so no wɔn se wɔn de sika ɛboro mmesia ne adeɛ no ɛnɛ yie wɔn nhyehyɛ wɔn de ayɛ sɛnea ɛbɛyɛ a wɔn fa wɔn de nifinhyia wɔ ha ne aduasa baako nhyehyɛ monetary policy committee wɔn mo nhyia mudie ne adeɛ no nhyehyɛ baako wɔn de ka ho ɛno no sɛ afei wɔn bɛbɔ mmɔden no wɔn ahwɛ ame yɛn hu sɛ obi a wɔse ɔno deɛ ɔbɔ mmɔden ade sika fam nkrɔfoɔ ɛmo wɔn de yɔ no so ɔyɛ nipa a wɔwɔ nkrataa asɛm de ne ho adanseɛ Bank of Ghana nim no a wɔn magina to mu so otumi yɛ sɛ adwuma na na ɛno nti wahyɛ sɛ ɛno nso adeɛ a wɔde gu akwammo na sika korabea wodoɔ no nyinaa ayɛ no no ɛnɛ adɔɔso paa yɛhwɛ ne hu sɛ ampa obiara nam kwan papa so ɔwɔ nkrataa na saa na teɛ deɛ na deɛ ɔmbɛyɛ nie na wɔtwe biara no ɔmbɛmu mmɔden na ɔmɔde atototo de ɔbɔ nkrataa mu ne bia yɛ sɛ fata mansɛntɔfo abɔ ho dawuro ɛde ato dwa me wɔn mu a sɛbea korɔtɔ wɔn sɛ fata ɛwɔ sɛ ɔtumi ne wɔn di dwa ɛne wɔn mu a wɔn mu ni nkrataa asɛm na wɔn te da ase abrawa ɛna wɔn ama wɔn
of non-compliance. Banks are therefore encouraged to properly utilize approved overdraft facilities or available funds in linked accounts where permitted under existing arrangements before returning checks unpaid. Banks are further urged to strengthen their monitoring mechanism and intensify customer engagement and education to improve compliance, reduce repeat offenses, and promote confidence in the use of checks as a payment instrument. Is that the Bank of Ghana has intensified efforts to address the growing incidence of unlicensed digital lending activities. As part of these efforts, the bank has commenced the weekly publication of entities that are identified as providing digital credit services without the requisite approval from the Bank of Ghana. Relevant law enforcement and regulatory agencies are also taking action to facilitate the removal of non-compliant operators from the market. Banks are encouraged to exercise heightened due diligence when engaging digital credit service providers and should verify the licensing status of such entities with the Bank of Ghana before establishing any partnership or business relationship.
Yɛmfia ni kyemu ɛwɔ apomden asoɛyɛ wɔn a ɔman fa wɔn so wɔn nkɔyɛ adwuma wɔ apomden na asoɛyɛ emre santre nie efisia mpemienu ɛne aduonu na ne besi saa mre yi guso wɔn mo bɔ adwuma wadre nanso wɔn akatua ho nsɛm de nyina bra ne nyaade a ɛba ama wɔn mo brɛ paa binom to tim fifire ne ade a ka bu wɔn so no ɛnyɛ kaketoa na no na wɔn mo kyerɛ a abɛn ya bɔ mmɔdan mo hangi kyemu bɛsɛ aduokono ɛnko de wɔn mo akatua na yɛ ntenka mu emre santre bɛsɛ efisia mmienu nie no wabɔ mmɔden no watua de ama mo na sɛbia gusɛbia kro de sɛ bɛfɔ nko a ɛne nani ɛnsa ade ɛno ti koe nka bɔ mu koyi aka wɔn abɔ mu koe tiatia wɔn mpaboa so tia ɛma wɔn bɔ anan asɔre ɔman Ghana pomden ɛnsam so asɔre na wɔn kɔduiɛ wɔn kɔyɛ wɔn si bo yɛwura kwabra menta aka ndo yɛ ni die mu ni ambrase wɔn onyamfo yɛde aseda kyenkyenkye die mu opie sɛ tetewa bɛkwa yɛ yɛkyema ne kwankye didi oni abakote a hesuo ne de brɛ wɔ de wayɛ no ɛyɔ nanso Oliver Tresie de yɛ ka ne sɛ wada ma bɔmɔden na kwan amofa so na abɛn motua yɛ kayie no de akamuo no enso ntinkem no mfo modern emfaman Orastavan Kwaku techia.
Unlike what we came with last year, we were recruited as nurses and midwives who were working, and when our Honorable Minister assumed office, our employment and appointment has expired, and we had to come to Honorable Minister for him to help us get us reinstated onto the payroll. We came to him, and through the coordination between the ministry and the Ministry of Finance, and through the intervention of the HR department and the ministry, by the grace of God, we have been reinstated, but we had our arrears still outstanding, which was yet to be paid. We came back to the ministry, and even at odd hours, we could reach out to the ministry. They would open their doors to us. We collaborated, and as we stand here, we can say that over 99% of our people have been paid, and there is an update in Akan that the extra one.
And wachi ena ononyamfo kwabramenta akando oswafo wono ena otua egumesua ensem so de atodwa se abana ina adwo se afia anya hwekura no enipa be se empim edu ensia 16000 won bebo modern na won mafa won wo fie omunya adwuma nye no won mafa mo amoma akwakoye adwuma wo ho wo se me no kase de adika atwa akogo ye empim wotwe ena atwa ede akwakogo abo mo hwe so mbefa empim wotwe na aka no ede aka ho amena akwakodu empim du nsia se de wo kan e mampanyina ni suade mu sabia konta anya hwe no so wawie school no kwa na utifie dia e bobo modern no mo pa bia bia mo ahe
expedite action on the issuance of their appointment letters, because if you don't issue the appointment letters and you don't start mechanizing them, that is where and when we'll be piling up the arrears. And this time around the money is available, so we don't want to pile up any arrears. And so I think that already, just as I have already indicated, those who reported early have started receiving their salary. So after the 8,000, we'll also be looking at recruiting more, even more than 8,000. Because this year alone, we're looking at about 16,000, and we've concluded on the 8,000. So we'll be looking at another batch to come and add up to this one. And so we'll continue to give quotas to all cadres to benefit, and we will also be looking at the 2021 batch, the 8,000. I mean, this is a midwife, for example. We look at the 2021 batch. For the pharmacists, we look
at the phone kabum kwe wa sante mantem anase wo man Ghana mu nyina ne fa wa sante mantem a Ghana National Association of Teachers here edwomtani de ema wo mo eyobemfum okuni others Prince Baini what in some dia todwa se wo mo ni di ade che na chi bebre na so memu nsam nso ohia pa mo mafo mo no antomu a bakwa kwakyira de beba na wunya nsuo na wo de anomo na de wo haw na eba ni nyina akwa akosi ekwan ye nipa bi nam so ne besi ne aban bia ba wo se meko garamse na ado sementimi anko a mampanyina akonwa nkora medim tibeto so ewie ne nam ha John Dramani mama mba me ba be kon o meye ni se ko wi achi o se minim sa me ame nkrofo bi wonu mutu garamse ni ade enei oboso mbo nsuo no guso a na ese nsase guso a na ese kwaye guso a na ese wo se enu no wo se ya momoden ni amfie ni ani achi ye ni anhwe ne kon no ni anko ni ya o ma be kura twentwa me bedu baabi no ahwe nsuo ye be kra de afri nkrofo man so
se aban kasa ode adwuma ebeba ama mbebu na ya ayakatewe niti adwuma bi ti se me no kase ye akakadura omem ha yedi na yedi ye nduro ni ade nyina no 99% ye import free oman foforo so na eba ha akakadura nso ya ade a ni dua kra enye ya enti sa aban kase obo mmebunu ode ene youth day eboa ejina ho abo mmebunu ama omedua akakadura nke ya ade a sika baba mmebunu no batum sade be ye omo begyae galamse no na eno so enam so ama yenso a yese no etumi asan aba enkom wo hwe bi ti se tomatoes Ghana every year bia yesai sika over $165 million. $165 million annually. And you declare tomatoes. Nekasia na fi Burkina. Burkina a desert country. But Ghana ha a rainforest no ewo. It is a year car your double maxima of rain season. But Burkina even single one no crown. We hear in Sua afibia Burkina enya ewo fom kra. And so move to me edua tomatoes. Ede beton man yen e ma ye disika komo mo dia. And the other na ban no mbo mbebu no. Na yen dua tomatoes no ewo ye memu ha. Na saa sika we 100 na mbebu no tumi nya bi e hye omo botoma. Insuo na all sell no because of galamsey no the sun insuo no kra be ye irrigation. Edua tomatoes asase no sell no ape gold no or the asase no ebedua tomatoes no proposal enkoma government any constitutional review committee
Ya yentra no so na yemfa emamona ndc amanyuko mampanyi John Dramani mama bocha wodro won mu hye bia na akonopa se kane babunu no ebi ene se won ba de ntia enne yie nkro bi te se frimi no fo so kote ya abo atwe nim nyansa sanso na kote emu anna ene be pa ya siesie nchemu ene ne yekeke ka ho no wodi o cheche ni kokoto no ma na wabɔ no motrom se gon sa akra ya so ndrepo menko wo ya no ya se gbon menko ene se bia ku to ho setare ye enye ayewu to da baby wo kra nkane akora bi ni ho no ene adea network je so kogina koko nko mu ansa na watimi anya network ye na wafra wo mpana teacher ni wa hwe amra na obi aje oge anase waji wukuru ni adea na wo hyebo se ne anya hwe no akatua na wo mo gire wan nchemu aduonu wo makatua no mu no wo ne bepi wo no so na kyese eno aye enum hyade ye betimi amboa wo ma mo ni age na mo timi akwa eno wo se wo sele se obomodin mampanyi mo modin no mfo senyi oyo na onyo na nu mo betimi aboa na abo wo ma no ho ba na mo timi akoye adwuma.
Is that as part of government's flagship program of the 24-hour economy, we find it mandatory that in order to sink into government flagship program, why don't we also come out with what we call the Prestige 24/7? And as my director of corporate affairs indicated earlier on, this runs 24/7. So the first batch you see here comes from 7 to 3 p.m. Then another batch comes from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Then another thing comes to 3 p.m. to 7 a.m. So it runs 24/7. And what the office services we offer here are first issuance, replacement, and updates. And this is not the first one that we have established. This weekend, 2 offices are opening in Kumasi too. In all, we are opening about over 20 centers, and we hope to create over 120 employment for this. This is a private partnership with our private entities who have applied for the NIA for the Prestige Center. So it's something that we are, now the Ghana card is the essential document for everybody. So we don't want a situation whereby it is weekend and somebody has to access services and you cannot access any of our services. So the Prestige is created for everybody, so that in the event that you miss your Ghana card in the weekends, you want to access some services, you'll be able to access it. So that's the idea.
National Identification Authority mpanyimfo nche ya wo mse wo mo yo sane be ya aban 133 job no a wo ka 24-hour economy no ebetimi agina brane sane be wo mu biebie wo mo ahye ye ni bi e wo miaye awodo na etimi aboa medintro ne ade na etimi akonkan ama nkrofo anyi wo Ghana card ene na mote se opanyichem ni yenku yechi na yensa enko Professor Elvis Baini hono ne nsem ode tu dwa na Ose mampanyi John Dramani mama se omomodin se ne be ya eye wode acheche for 20% be momon mami nkodi nkomo mransa ye be kwa akoye sa story na mami nko oredu kwa mi redu memo ha mo akwaba
Madiusu amia
abusia redu ya ye koye kwa mi nkoma University of Science and Technology KNUST suapon mu na yakohwe ne ekoso ho oredu otemenka bo me ne mahwefo amani
mami no was papa se de wedi kan e de atudwe no obeka ya be na se fi be na se be yi ade a oman yi mu ye kan tsoye hwe mebunu hu nsam so e ba santimante mu a omo e ba mebunu a e wo Ghana fane ntwenu nyina mu e ba ya omo be hia be na nsa e na omo di nkomo e de afa wo mo hawo no ma amani hu bia ho na nimu e na dwedie no ase no oba kan USA ho no dwedie no enyina ebobo ade na e bra dwedie ni ekoso no dwedie no e ma kwan se mebunu omo wo school mu so emra na efe omabo samamu kakra na omo fanche omo dwumedi a omo anaso omo fanche mu kan se de be ya omo se ene mebunu na omo no mahie mu adwumedi a ekoso omo so yiwo mu chefa ebla mrenti wayi eba ya na omo twemamamu edi agro edi omo ni no eno kenya omo akoduru ba bia fi de omo hu se etoda na ade bi ho no a wunya kwanya na se oso de bobre anase wasem bi ehia oso de tudwa ma na yeye eno na nam so ema omo jama no omo hye ede atwumume kire dia omo eye fa ho nyina kire no ekoba se bla no omo wuro mu kra no yenkere se edika na omo wuro mu kra no enkrata sima so a ye kan brofo se prakas ekutekito omo nsemu a na omo de demonstrate kire nti omo di ase nyina no na omo di kugye mu kire mpenifo a sabi omo twese wo nyina no kire wo ma de bi wo so na nsema hodo a na omo atwetwe ebi wo so ene se uba school ponu wona wode da hostel hodo mu a omo kire mu kire se eyade a esiketia wo mu tua ede epe edan dem a ye friend hostel no
ne bona akoya yedina kosora kama ye say mpo ne bona achen school fees ya wo mutua enu ade a eku wo mo eni ti no ebra wo nya akonya we no e na mo de ensam aduana say ye hye we e de fa so e ka kire mpanifo a omba adwumedie no as won hwe esanse sa be de school fees ya wo mutua na ano deni achen Giving them with the attend school fees ya chiano ya de ha bi ni papa nti omo strength was omo ntumu anamo e wo mfe fose no ya de a ye ankwankwa bi je de nan so no ni bo ko ye de ten nto no additional pom wo de na e ha bi ni papa e nti no omo tire za asemi kura no omo di kan de aba beto abonten amena kodu re control of wenim abo motu mo na mo na dapo ni ya wo mu gusua kase enya ade a anamo to bi etumi aba wo mo enchenti no empenifo nhwe na wo mo emomodi a pe edan a wo mo han a ye hostel no na mo atem esua de enfie be ye nan a wo go di school mo no ne bo no afi ba fu de ene abusumi nfemu de no ni na bo akosoro aten school fees kura wo mu tua eni empenifo nhwe na momodi a so wo mo de ti wo mu sufre na mo tu ho anamo ebra na openi a yura operado na ono eti ho no hwe nkrata jima naba mentewe edi ba dem ho no me de betetre e wo ma kusam a omo efemu e wo school pon a ye ken USC ho no eno ene ndi ade a omo de to edi mu e wo ntimi me obi sami a na na nukuru mu nyane se school form na omo wo ken USC no omo dodo na e de placard ba ho e de tre omo bobre e wo hawa omo famu e wo dan a wo mo han na ne boa ye den eten school fees a omo tian no nia
Redre, let's say 5,000 and 6,000 no ye de kan set term bia na aja wo mo de omo semester no e bia na omo tua se sika nya sa
sa pepe ti yo how Kaseɛ pa e de na wo mo se bo a wo mo tua no eni enyen eni timperifo nhwe na wo mo nkeka bi enfa ntre debi wona wo mo aye ye na ahodo ana so mo aye ye rusa ahodo a wo mo de ma aditiafo no e wo mpatem ho nyina
Redre me da se koso afo de butu wi mienu santemu di akire bibi e be frato bia nsa beka bia wada ma no aye ne se amade na ade abre
Yesu me da papa
Abusia ye na musini ye sentweni Kwame Redu e na yete ne nkafi Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology na de ya ne se sa 5,000 and 6,000 enye wonko a wuchembe horu enye osef konte mu ye nan de address a ye ya na mu ye mienu so no kra ne bo no wo soro pa ya besre mu amusisi adan no na iron rods aba form kakra cement ni yem 75 kura wunya bi enti mesre montete to so kakra na bo cement bo koso na iron rods bo koso amoto dan mu yete so de amonte so monko amu ne adwadifo amu memu amontema de so enye fe yenko ebere kuro sini dan kuro to cement kura 50 cedis enso ene wo de 70 de ne enye fe munyina so ye des de diknesis ye ko anim na ne yenko yachi na yenko hwe Professor Elvis Prince Bani ne nsema a wodi tu dwa na ochire mu se aban ne momoden na ne 20% o hyeye se ebeboa na ma chechefo ani agye na enkurotro awodo ye nkurase ni ntwodo ni ntwada so no wo bodo mo ko makono won ni sa abo hye so
for 20% of our base pay enye sika ye de be ma rural area allowances no eye rent so ka huntia say woman such allowance because sabi obi a owo kumase kromidie eya dabre enha adwen bebre na obi a owo enyino fi samso saa e hono no dabre ha adwen enti so onya 20% every month of his gross salary na otumi e de rented dan kra na say onya saa sika na ebe bo na ma rented dan enti say ye hwe se teacher dabre program beba so in the
ni ena yeteni nka no ebutu prunkra ba beto dwa echiremu a natibre kese a wono wo man Ghana mrache bidwafie achia me hini ono nyamfo urban kings for smana baben ato ensa e de afrem mrache bidwafo se wo mo na asenye hare se wo radio dam koku ase na busumi mu e de toso aduonu na mo nsa wono machi no mo man Ghana mrache bidwafie na mo emedi nkomo a efe o man no betimi abo mo man na etimi akọ enkan ye nyina nim se wono mo ahomegiem nanso sɛde emra no ne amane ne amamre ne tie no sɛ hu ko hia sɛ bibi won me wo sɛ wo hwɛ no mo ya mra sɛ bedwa na kyame ne wotumi sɛ obɔ moden na oto nsa ne mputupuru wode efrɛ wo mo nsɛm yi baayɛ no wo mo ansisudua na sɛ wo ansisudua wo krata no ma me hu sɛ ntia mra sɛ bedwafo wo mo ebe om koya hyehya ba na sɛ eye tobe etemkuku anade no mo kwa koye ne no ɛna owura Roxanne Nesen Kwame Dafia makpɔ sa de mra sɛ bedwani wode tudwa wo chem sɛ enne mo bɛte nkyɛn na Ghana mampanyi tibreke sɛ John Dramani mama wayɛ ntotoe no wayɛ nsakyerɛmu ɛde asoafoɔ ni bi akɔhyɛ baabi ɛde foforo bi nso ɛde abahu behia sɛ the appointment committee wɔn bɔ mɔden no mo kɔtena se no mo yɛ no ntotoano sɛ ne bɛyɛ sam ɛyɛ asoafo ya bo mudi ɔmbɛnya kwa no makɔyɛ ɔmo adwuma ɛne nsɛm bi osusu sɛ ɛho hia mprempren paa no enti ojusu sɛ ɛno ɛka ho nti ɛna wenum nyina abra Roxanne Nesen Kwame Dafia makpɔ wɔyɛ chief whip ɛde ma ɛdɔm dodo no.
You may be aware, the president has since the 6th of August nominated 2 persons to as substantive ministers for environment and defense. Now, in that process, he's done a bit of shifting. He's moved the substantive local government minister to Western Housing. This guy moved the Western Housing minister to defense. So it means that we have a new person to occupy local government ministry, my outgoing boss, the Honorable Mama Yariga. Then Zaneto going to the Ministry of Environment, it's also intact. So we need to vet the 2 ministers. Why has their vetting become necessary? Because we are in the throes of budget hearing. The budget will be up for reading by the last 10th week of October, and we are in mid-August. So the ministries and state institutions are holding retreats preparing their annual budget for purposes of the national budget.
Tia eno no ewo no ne afia ni enchemu ewo domfrafo boaboa no edema media coalition against illegal mining central for one money tia kwampone ne kwamfo a ye fa so tufu magudie ne nyina beka asem ya ye to oman Ghana osana abosom de to so nsia ovincham pimienu ene aduonu enum emma memma kentra nwamba wotwe won mo ekoto ananom wonse da bra na omode andupre bomfram maketo yi bie enam ko oboase akodi dwumadi ne nyina so beboa me hu kwampa befa so ne atufo mo agudie afia so ama yasha sanfa na kana sigwese eja areho miama mansie ya bekwa akwa yisi na ho de nyanwango na uduru bekwa anwan kwanta sansam so bridge na ewo na ensu a na dase a wohwema na otimi hu mpata no enne esa ahemfuni empatem ho no esa empanyimfo ni mpatem ho ensu no ayese tia milo no do so pa na ade ensu kakra bi na dia wo mu wonhu hwe ewu mu wose yetu de airtime ne se wodo ani echem ewu bonsu enyinam osino ekwan peu won mu di nsem wose ade ne baaye ede ne sese chejama sente tumpan ande yam yenso enya baabi amfie tia ntui asem yi ase yato de nam so ma ne baaye ne ekwan ya no mo fa so kwan papa eye illegal mining ye besia no ne ekopam papa ye befa so se ne be yensu ane yansa ase obedwo no afia ba settled nipa bonefo nam kwan bone so wo di sa kwan bone eno no se mampanyin so fa kwan bone so wo mfa ni dwuma mfanti asa illegal miners
who has been touched, and that the president were definitely going to get to a point where we were going to recover. So how dare all of us that you have in a Yem, you have a police station overlooking a river that Galamsey is taking place, and we allow that to happen. How dare all of us that we have these people die? And what asks Erastus, what we are calling the responsible mining that they were going to launch. He speaks to a man who is mining in a waterway by the road, the Bekwai road, just by the road, and nothing is happening to him. How dare all of us that on the road from Bonsu through Enyinem, through Osino, and heading in clear sight, people are just doing these things with reckless abandon. So for me, unfortunately, including myself, I'm not too sure we've honored them. And the interesting thing, the wife of the Deputy Director General of NADMO had said something that if Yenya Bajeneba, we should by now be bowing our heads in shame. And if for me, this is the minister, a cabinet minister, a foreign minister says they had just had a short.
Abusia media coalition against illegal mining. Central Fund Kabumko, one money kwamfon and Kofofa Sutufu Goodyear Kabumko, Orakan Ashegbe, and Yatinin Ka, Wakasa, Ewe, Enfree, and so. Nayanko Global Info, Analytic, or your opinion, Quanchefu, Tiano Yetibekase, Musa Dankwa, a Equa and Shaban, and one more, now one mutual more, your pa, 22, Efa Abato, Repetata Cremano, who said Busia, Mijina, Dutch, Saman Penino, Media met me up one more mana, as a heavy pan. Me party ni beba ebusia people's party anya asem ketra kra na nensimo de tu dwa fama mpanyi John Dramani mama ono ananu a woto ye no de tu dwa kire bo se ono de oman Ghana mamra fi apama ankra de okono emienu no esisu de aka na ono wati wo so reading best emprenson ne ade a wakenkan ya ne ade a no de onim ne se Ghana forma ne finhia nan a wo de ba ye adwuma wo wie wokọ nyade a wokọ ba bia bi makotena se enna misa dankwa no gina so de bisa Ghana fo bi no bo se na mampanyi naka se onye na dwen so obekọ ne mprensa so akopeni ni anane se e wo hono onyo Ghana fo adwen kire wo ho sei eno na aba beto dwa se Ghana fo bi no ma wo mo je penie no mo ni info analytics ye di nkomo no wan chemu no aduosia enum agitum se an wo mo ne mampanyi ni ya adwen mo ha no ho de obeya no aye ne sensem ne bra e do so no apa ba bi na de afa ne wan re ya ne ya hia bu na ya na agiegu ni asa gya ne de abesi so ne mu ha ngi chemu no so aduonu enso nom so boa wonko ne ye yase besom ye wote wa ne abefa ase wo beko ene independent crowd be gina afa owie ye no emu ha nyi chemu no nwotwe de wo mo ansi gina ye wo mo se wo mu ni adwenkyere bi ade fa ho wo firi wo no ena musa dankwa ede ba wo mo asabio amanyosemu ankasa pa na wo wura MPP mu no wo ha nyi chemu no adosu nsia no so wo ne mampanyini ya adwen mo mabiem wo bepeden mo obi nso medibi afa wo wura NDC fo aso ye no nso no wan chemu no aduonu mu nkron nom se han papa wadi bieye wo kra ye keka kra nka kompetensa ze ye ade na woji bi mu asase so wo se wo mabiem o mote ase na eno akire no na enipa bese aduonu mu ensia wono ede wono amfa wono party nche ne ama no wono nso se wono ne mampanyine nya ade obekọ akona kobiem.
He's not going to contest. So we went out and asked people, do you support his decision not to contest for a third term? The response is quite emphatic. 65% of them said they support or they agree with him not to contest in the next election. But 27% said they disagree with him, and 8% did not have an opinion. So broadly, people support his own decision not to contest. Let's go forward, and the whole thing turns into another argument. And now this is the same question by party affiliation. Most of the MPP guys, 76% said they agree with the president. Of course, they don't want him to go. NDC is 59%, much lower, but floating is 69%, and then also not disclosed 56%, and other parties. So
Ora Musa Dankwa Global Info Analytics ye opanyina ono ene etua no na mote se wono ato nanum tuo na wase achim no ere ene de ni amrase mo ma menyina we so na yemfa kase de bra mo wie mfansi oman makyo okodwa so a ye wura mo ko weekend no madama to bi ko fie na ma enuane no so nya akono ma nkora na makwa mu fie no ya fa ye mo na wo mani enyi oba wonsa no mo aduane fon na mo di kunye wo fie no munyai na mo fo man makwa nya so buduru wati ase Franco Enterprise enkosi dan kofa pomfon bia ne papo bia anko hye ase oda ho watota ase so na eliki na enka bi nanam de mo fa pipe ye kama ne niam esefata ne bo no ewo fom woko MCR oba pa ya Gracie ogre wono na oye trene a otetrenye sa enso na Nelson Owusu ansa ye video editor Simo sound na afeye na na yaw no electrician ni PK studio manager wo mom kruche nsem group no so akosua somua Elizabeth no Eli na afe Victoria kuku ajando Vicky wono mu kruche nsem womrie onom di group no so ma wo semfo panim pa ma ya te se mo editor kora wanyini pa wo mrantie di chemo Benedict Asante yeboa wono SM Roman 40 di ne nko a Elizabeth abra woto mi na musa kora na o cho yem no wa sorry Misu bi di abusia pani Owusu aduomi yesoso na koso ana mo fidie ne na Owia Kaseɛ.